Hey, what's up YouTube? Skybadger here, and we are back on day 25 of the 100 player fan game series. So as you can see, not much to change up here in the leaderboards, and we're not going to bother talking about the wealthiest nations because that's just a list of people who ain't using their resources correctly. So if we come down here, we can see that South Africa has made a lot of ground and is still pushing and making and claiming a lot of territory. Over the past day or so, Quebec retreated and has rearmed himself with anti-aircraft guns, which, guys, come on, everyone should have anti-aircraft guns. You shouldn't have to do this. So now that he's equipped himself with anti-air guns, it appears he's pushing back in. I suspect that South Africa isn't going to mind losing a few aircraft to deal with these stacks. Due to the fact these are fairly large stacks, they lack the ability to spread out and claim mass amounts of territory, and they're slow because the tanks are slowed down by anti-tank guns and anti-air. So once these groups of railroad guns and artillery get to the front, they're going to chew through those pretty quickly. So that's what's happening there. Over the past 12 hours, we've had some issues with enemy submarines. An Italian stack of 15 submarines popped up around here, and that was the stack that we were tracking a few days ago and we lost. So now that we have naval bombers and aircraft carriers, we should be able to track it a lot more efficiently and find it and sink it this time for good. As you can see, our naval bombers are already heading out on patrols looking for enemy submarine movements so we can spot them and we can sink them. There's a little battle going on here, but I'm going to stay out of it for the moment because Quebec's submarine is just about to be sunk, and I'm not going to go in there just to start a war at day change and get that -5 a day early. So for this one, we're going to stay out of it. I suspect that the Italian submarines are still in the area. When they were attacked, they weren't actually moving at the time, and it was a South African submarine that bumped into them. They were somewhere around here. I don't suspect that they have moved upwards, or else they would have just hit more submarines, and that would make it easier for them to spot. So at least we know roughly where we're going. Now, sadly, because these submarines have popped up, we're not going to be able to send this fleet over to here to do anti-shipping operations and cut off Quebec's and New England's reinforcements, which isn't too bad. So we won't be able to do that until this group here gets up and gets into the area, which is going to take, as you can see there, 1 day and 8 hours for all those ships to get up and into the region. Once that group's there, we can then secure a path across and we can send this fleet back up into here to do anti-shipping. So over the past few days as well, our ally has been making me some more naval bombers, and we have got some newer level 3 naval bombers, and it's nice to have. So with those, we can now extend our range slightly further and be a little more effective. Our third fleet down here is still under construction, and we are currently constructing the last 2 cruisers, and then we'll add the aircraft carriers and spam out some subs to finish it off. So that's the plan there in terms of our navy. In terms of everything else, we don't actually have too many troops or too many other projects going on. If we have a look at how many troops we have, we can see that we have 216. Now that isn't bad, considering when you look at Pakistan and South Africa, who have pretty similar forces to us. It's definitely clear we're of all focus. Pakistan has slightly more than us, but he is not equipped to fight on the seas. He has a very large army that could crush ours any day of the week, but he lacks a navy, and that's where we have most of our units. South Africa, on the other hand, is about half the size of us, but he has a fully developed air force and army, which is more than we have. So although we're the only one with a decent ability to project power overseas, we lack the ability to send troops, so we need to address that problem in the coming days. It also doesn't make it easy, considering, as you can see in the newspaper, we are actually only in 4th place. So although I don't suspect we will rise any further than this, it does make it hard to keep up with these players that have more land than us, more resources than us, but I feel like we're doing a pretty good job. The key to keeping up with players like these and staying above and keeping up with them is to keep upgrading your resource producing provinces, guys. Like, look at all of that infrastructure I'm building, all these forts I'm building. I'm spending more on my economy right now than I am on my army, and there is times, guys, where you need to stop and you need to do this. if you keep building your army, you're going to get to the point where all of your resources are spent on the upkeep for your army, that you have nothing to upgrade your economy. Thus, you can't build more troops. So, stay on top of your economy before your army. Larger economy, larger army. Larger army, weaker economy. So, economy first, guys. So as you can see, that's starting to pay off, and we've been able to build our oil back above 300 an hour. There is going to be a point though where we can't sustain growth. I suspect that will probably happen within the next week or so, when we finally start hitting level 3 on some of these infrastructure upgrades. In terms of troop training projects I've got planned, like I said before, I need to build 3 aircraft carriers. I also need to build 8 more subs, so that's going to happen within the next 3 days. And I also need to keep up commandos. So on top of that, after that, I then need to re-equip my air force, due to the fact I've sent a lot of my aircraft onto ships. And we can see that down here, for example, this air group here, well, this fleet has 9 aircraft assigned to it, and that there is a lot of aircraft. And as our carriers upgrade, which although I'm not doing it at the moment, we will upgrade them, we're going to need more aircraft to fill these and man these. So once we finish that 3rd fleet, we're going to probably stop building ships for a week or so and focus on rearming our aircraft and our army. We only really have one functional group that is prepared for combat in terms of our army, and that's this group here, and even then I'd like to equip it with more commandos. At a stretch, we could assemble maybe one more group. We have a few light tanks, 9 sitting around doing nothing, but we really need more anti-air. And because we haven't spent too much on that sort of troops and our army, we can see that our anti-tank guns and anti-air are still only level 1, and although they're still effective at what they do, when we come across here and we have a look at what our opponents have, we can see that they generally have 1-ops on all of us, on all of our troops in those areas. So we need to make sure that we do get on top of that at some point. But like I said, our focus is this Navy for the near future. In terms of spying, what we are going to have to do today, guys, is rearrange our spies and move them around. We know Quebec's getting intel on where our spies are, and he'll be moving to try capture as many as possible. Despite the fact we have 20 counter-espionage spies at work, he's still somehow getting intel on us. So I think I'm going to deploy maybe 5 more spies. Yeah, let's do that now. We'll deploy 1 there, deploy 1 there. Where else? Deploy 1 in there, and deploy 1 up there. So the thing with spies, guys, is they don't need to be placed where your troops are, where your enemy capital is. They can be placed anywhere and still be effective. So keep that in mind. So although I've got a lot of spies down here, these are to stop economic spies that will target my core, because it is where I produce the most of my resources. If you're smart, you'll produce and use your economic and military saboteurs in out of core territories. So I know that if I was trying to spy on myself right now, I deploy a lot of my spies up here, where it's very unlikely that the player would deploy counter-espionage. So as you can see, I've got spies, counter-espionage spies up here as well, to make sure that doesn't happen. So I'm going to end the episode here, guys, and I hope to see you guys in the next episode.